Good morning, everybody. My name is Ben-Bassat. I'm the CEO of Plataine. First of all, what is this? What is the Internet of Things and what is the digital thread? Sometimes it's obvious, but I think what you'll hear today that it's not so clear. There are a lot of questions around this, especially what this means for all of us. The other question perhaps is obvious, but why is it even interesting? What new opportunities that this offers us? What are the projected benefits or actual benefits that are already being seen in some cases? And I think longer term, we'll also talk about some new business models that this potentially addresses. And of course, nothing's easy, especially when you kind of work on new technologies. So what are the challenges? What are the best practices that are starting to come together when we start to adopt these? And if we focus a bit on our industry, in this case here, composites, a lot of it's taken for granted for us, but really doesn't exist or not to the same extent in other industries. The products are complex, the materials are sensitive, the processes are complex, they're highly diverse, different product configurations, very small batches in many cases. The product life cycle is long. That helps in some ways, but creates challenges on the other. What's also very unique here, also exists in other industries, but not always, very strict quality requirements. Quality is non-negotiable, and it's sometimes even driven by regulatory means. And all of this in a growing industry. So this would be hard enough if the industry was static, but it's not. It's growing very fast. Some of the programs are nearly doubling in rate into the next few years, and the whole thing trickles down into the supply chain. So we're growing. It's very complicated, and then the market and through the OEMs are putting a lot of cost pressures. So what does this mean? How does this enable or disable new technology adoptions, and how does the whole thing come together? Obviously, as the problem becomes more complex, our ability as human beings to deal with it decreases, and the potential for benefit increases. I mean, this is the theory. So if you see here from left to right, the human ability to solve the problem basically decreases the more and more variables you add into it. If you're looking for software to help you solve it, then at least on the face of it, the software is able to take in more parameters and more variables and address the better solution. But a big question that'll come up a lot is, okay, data is great, but what do you do with it? And the end goal is to capture this potential benefit. Another way to look at it is through growth of production volume. And the market goes to the OEMs, whether these are military or commercial, and is looking for economies of scale. And these, in turn, are translated into the supply chain. The problem that we see a lot in the industry today is as the rate goes up, you do not necessarily get your economies of scale, you get the red line. We see this in so many places, it's almost, it's everywhere. Now, why is that happening? It's happening typically because the current systems and the current processes were built around very, very small volumes, especially compared to other industries, consider even automotive. So as soon as the volume ramps up from one ship set a month to one a week to one a day to 10 a day, at some point we see these challenges. I think this problem that we're seeing here and some of the results you see behind me are really the main drivers for the discussion today. Is IoT, is the digital thread, are these enabling technologies that will help address this gap, and how do we do that? So this is one of the most common dynamics in composites today, whether this is aerospace, wind energy, and automotive, which is picking up these materials at a very high rate.